Good evening, all. Thanks everyone for coming in. Obviously, we've already got Zazel and Nate from Ungodly Hour Australia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy anniversary.
Yeah, I can't believe it. That's a year people have had to put up with me on YouTube.
Yeah.
Was
that a new title sequence thing?
No, that's my normal game stream one.
My
normal standard game stream one. That's my normal one. Totals.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to do a separate one. I was going to do a separate one for like when you're doing guests on like this, because I've obviously got the Gaming Memories one, which has got its own Totals theme as well.
Yep.
So I was going to do a separate one, but I just didn't have the time today. So I just thought I'd use that for now. always trying to improve.
Yeah.
But yeah, hard to believe that. Just coming from the chat and like your guys sort of like streams, and now it's been a year of people who had put up with my face on the internet.
A year does go by pretty quickly, but I feel like you've got so many good shows that you've put together in a short amount of time that I'm sure it probably feels like a lot longer than a year.
Well, to be honest, that doesn't. I just only feel like, like a month ago I started sort of doing it. I've just gone really quick. I just lost track of time.
You're on the other end.
Yeah.
Still feeling fresh and new.
Here we got. We got Gerard. Thanks, buddy. Nice to see you. Double duty, Zazel.
Woo!
That was his wake up in the morning noise. Pains, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're keeping well. Buddy. Jeff G, good to see you, my friend. And I don't know if you know who this is. Is it Kimberly?
Kimbo.
Thanks, Kimberly. Jumpy. 1 year old. I've got the mental age of a 1 year old. I'll admit that. Right, so let's have that. Oh, unfortunately, we ain't going to get the pleasure of Hans Chow in the stream. Babysitting mode. Oh dear.
Fair enough.
Good to see you anyway, buddy. Thanks for being in the chat. I'm now putting the link in the chat just in case anyone wants to pop on.
Off you go.
What we got? It won't let me pin it though for some reason. Good old StreamYard. But yeah. So apart from everything else, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, good. Early in the morning here in Australia. So it's about 5 a.m. But, yeah.
Did you get any worms?
Did I get any worms?
Yeah, no. Early bird gets a worm, doesn't it? I didn't get any worms.
No, but there was an earlier bird, unfortunately.
Ah, dang it! There's always an earlier bird.
Always an earlier bird, yeah. Always the case.
Speaking of early birds, though, sometimes your streams are a lot earlier than we are awake. So I've made jokes about it, and it's always meant with all due respect, right? And if you start saying with all due respect, it's like, is it though? But in this instance, it is. And because they are on too early for me to catch most times live, they are good to have in the background while you're doing chores, like doing the dishes. But having very familiar video games and bringing back some of those gaming memories, it is good to have in the background, because it feels like you're going like back in time, like a little time capsule.
Yeah, I'm trying to make myself feel young again. It ain't working though.
Yeah, same.
And according to Kimberly, the worms are still asleep, Nate. So you didn't miss them; they're still sleeping because they're
okay.
There you go.
I'll go out and check again. If I disappear from the stream for a little while, I'm out worm hunting.
If you come back with a worm, though, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah.
No, I quite often get to tune in for a little while on TJ's streams in the morning while I'm getting ready for work. So that's good. It's fun just to hang out. Usually it makes me like run quite late for work. I'll get there just on time. Or
so what sort of time is that for you, Nate?
So
Because
well,
I stream on a Monday and Thursday normally at 8:30 in the evening in the UK. So what time is that for you?
I'm up around at 6 a.m. usually. Like, yeah. So yeah, so just tune in while I'm getting ready.
AM Tuesday for you, whereas 8:30 for us Monday night.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get confused this time, don't not at all.
Yeah.
I'm confused at any hour, so it's not really that it's early morning. It's just I'm in a perpetual
you
state
said
of
that,
confusion.
Nate. You said that, Zazel. So that's your own fault. We didn't do it, but it wasn't us.
Yeah, it's funny this YouTube thing and making all these friends. I never thought I'd have to worry about any time zone but my own. And now there's half a dozen of them.
It took me long enough to figure out how to tell the time in my own country, let alone anyone else's. We've got another guest coming in. Here comes Nick from APD. Good to see you, Nick.
Hey guys, how are you doing? TJC, Zazel, Nate, you all good, guys?
Yeah, all good. You feeling better?
Yeah, side of my mouth's still a bit weird feeling, but it'll get there. But I just wanted to come on and say, like, happy birthday to your channel, and a year on. Where did that year go, man?
I know, it's just quite silly, really, isn't it?
We're still going strong, man. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. That's definitely good fun. That's all I look for. It's just fun, just getting to chat with people like yourselves and people come in the chat and have a laugh, and it's all it's about, isn't it? Really.
100%, man. I always enjoy watching, and I really enjoyed the episode you did with me, the gaming memories with Streets of Rage 2. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Right, go on then. Here we go. Right, as it's a year on, highlight of the year of like anything I've done. Can you think of anything that pops to mind? Funniest moment, silliest. Zazel, what do you think?
Mate, it's got to be that Batman game that you were trying to jump off that wall.
I knew you were going to say it. Saying, why can't Batman jump? What is going on here?
I mean, I was starting to get frustrated for you. When you're a kid, I reckon. Well, when I was a kid, I won't speak for everyone, but if you can relate to this, let me know. Right? There were many games that if it got to the point where it was no longer fun and the challenge was now beyond a joke, I would just give up on that game. I'd be like, no, too bad, I'm out of here. And I think some of those games, I'm trying to remember which one of those would be. Oh, maybe Altered Beast. At the back end of Altered Beast, I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm all good with this game. I'll catch you later. And that Batman moment, I've got to applaud you for continuing to go through it until you finally did jump up that ledge.
Yeah, I'm quite tenacious like that. I'm thinking I'm not going to be beaten.
Yeah. It was like a special moment where I just happened to catch it at the right time, where I was like, come on, Teej, you can do it. Get up that wall. You're Batman. Come on. And then, you were able to successfully do it. And it was like a relief at the same time as a celebration that you were able to do it. But yeah, that always pops up in my mind.
I knew you were going to mention that one. I was trying to forget it, and you had to bring it up again.
Clip it, play that clip.
Oh, hang on, we've got another guest in. We've got Adam coming in. Adam.
What's happening, man?
You on, buddy?
Hey, Adam, how you doing, man?
Good. And one year of toy memories with TJC. Let's do this.
Crazy.
Nate, any standout moments for you?
Well, I just have vivid memories of you on one of those that last sort of part of the Ghostbusters game. You trying to get past that.
Oh yeah, me and Ray Stantz weren't seeing eye to eye on that game.
Yeah, Ray just kept going down over
as soon
and
as
over again.
As soon as I revived him, I turn around and try and carry on, then he'd die again. I just
Yeah, that was hours of gameplay just because
that was just a lot of Ray laying on the floor. That's what that was. I mean, it wasn't good. But we got there. I finished it.
It's like, I'm going to stop playing for today.
Yeah, that's it. I've had enough now before I kill Ray for real.
I'll be back next week.
Sometimes you have to get to that point and think, I just got to walk away, have a moment.
Yeah. I did that with with Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox.
Oh yeah, that's
a
it.
point, and I just like I couldn't beat it. And I rage quit, and I didn't touch it again for like literally 6 months. And then like I picked it up that 6 months later, put it in, and literally like the part that I couldn't do, I beat it in 10 minutes. And then like finished the game that day.
It's funny you mentioned that, because like when I've played that new adventure game with Hans, that Elden Ring, which is renowned for being difficult. That is not an easy game. And he'd join my game sort of thing. We'd be trying to beat this boss, and like the amount of times we sort of got so close, and then that just like it killed you, and you're like, oh my god. And then we left it for a few weeks because I think Hans might have had things on, and I was just like busy doing whatever. And then when we come back and say, oh yeah, we'll have a game this afternoon, see if we can beat that boss, we just went breeze straight through it in about 10 minutes. I was like, I can't honestly believe that. I just got straight through it like it was nothing. But yeah, that's sometimes you have just got to walk away for a little while, collect yourself, and then think, well, I'll try again.
I would respectfully disagree with that on every time. When I was in grade 11, so I would have been like 17 years old, I got Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation, the first one.
Oh yeah, good game, yeah.
That game was, to me, was like the first like next level game. Like it was like not just graphics wise, but like as a story, it was there. And so I played that, and that was a long game. It was 2 discs. You had to do like the Leon story, then like the girl story. Yeah. And so I got to the final boss, like Nemesis, like the big eyeball on his shoulder guy. And I didn't pick up a like boost clip in like the second level that I needed to add to my gun to beat him. And so I just quit, and I've never played it again.
Oh, dear.
I'm like, I'm not doing that whole game again.
I can remember buying Siphon Filter on the PS1, and there's a level called, I think it's called Farcombe Warehouses, and it's just a mass of soldiers and snipers everywhere. And I just could not get through this level, and I rage quit after about an hour. And it was after my old man shouting up the stairs because I'd launched the controller a couple of times, you know, as you do when you're a teenager and you're mad. And I walked away from that game for almost a year. And then one day I just decided to put it back in the PlayStation, straight through the level. Couldn't believe it. You know, it'd been like a year, and I just went straight.
That's what I mean. I think sometimes, for me at least, I have to just, you get to a point, and that could be anything, like you're tired or anything like that, you're fed up or whatever, then you think, right, I'll leave it and I'll come back. And then, like I say, when I do a weekly game sort of thing, I'll come back the following week, and then I'll just whiz through that level, and you think, can't believe I struggled with this. I've just gone straight through it. You know, it's just as simple as that. I got an interesting comment here, Nate, from Kimberly. There you go.
Yeah. Quite often.
Which, if you remember when I first started, that's what I wanted to do, just get people to like enjoy watching them game, bring some memories back, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished.
I feel better now.
Remember back in like the 80s and 90s when you or someone in your school could just lie, and there was no way to disprove them because there was no internet, there was no like database of all the facts in the world. Someone could just make something up, and then you just like, I guess it's true, and there's no way to fact check it. So there was a guy in our school who used to do that all the time. Hey, there's Shabs.
Shabs has joined us.
Shabby.
How are you? These Canadians, Australians, English. Look at this. Like a global dude. Oh,
that's like the World Cup, and we ain't out on penalties. That's what I mean.
Happy anniversary, mate. A year on YouTube, eh? Oh,
yeah.
What a beauty.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, so you've had to part with me for a year, yeah.
There was a guy in my school, though, that would just lie. He would just make stuff up. And so that year, I think we were in grade 7, grade 6, X-Men for the Genesis came out.
Yeah.
And so, like, collectively, a bunch of us got it, and we would all get like, does your game freeze at this time? You get to like the last level, and your system would just freeze. And so we were, like, as a classroom, we were frustrated. And this guy Ryan, who lied all the time, was like, "Oh, you guys have got to hit the reset button." And I was like,
Yeah.
that's not the way to finish the game. And as a class, we're like, this guy's an idiot. And then like 3 months later, I tried it, and you got to hit reset on the system to get past the next level. It's insanity.
I thought I'd broken the game because I didn't know anyone else that was playing it, and I actually turned off the game many times once getting to that part. And then you do the cartridge blow thing, and you'd think you just give up. So it was only out of pure coincidence that I hit the wrong button, like it was on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. You hit the reset. So instead of hitting the off button and being frustrated, I hit reset. Whether intentional or unintentional, I definitely didn't do it because I knew to do it. And then I was like, oh, something's happening. And I finally got to beat that game. But that was very close on the list of games I was going to give up on. And that game is so good that it is unfortunate if I'd never got to beat the end of it.
Yeah, it's great.
So was that an intentional design on the game, or was it some sort of a glitch? So it was intentional.
Yeah, it was Sega trying to be funny.
No, I heard it was put together by mums that were like, we need more challenges for the games. What can you do to get them thinking? So I believe that rumor. I believe the rumor that it was mums that got together and go, what does this button do? Oh, it resets the game. Oh, make that part of the game. No, mum, shut up.
Well, we have another guest. We've got Ken from another Canadian. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All good, Ken. How about yourself?
Beauty, Ken.
A little tired. It's warming up here in Vancouver, but people are like, come on, Ken. When they ask me what the temperature is, they're like, it's not that warm over there, Ken. Stop whining. But you know me when it comes to getting used to the cold weather and all that.
Actually,
though.
There you go. When we were in Georgia, Ken, it was hotter in Canada than it was in Georgia. There was like a Canadian heat wave.
In your part of Canada, where I left, it was like 18, 19 degrees. I was thrilled.
Yeah, you guys are always raining out there.
Yeah, what I love about it.
If you go back and watch any interviews with David Duchovny during the filming of X-Files, he's just miserable all the time. He's like, I hate DC. Raining here.
That was filmed out this way, so I
Yeah,
got
no, it was. So I almost went to film school in BC. I remember contemplating whether I would go to film school or Bible college. And the film school there was run by the smoking man from the X-Files. It's like his school.
That's cool, man.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well,
Nick,
happy 1 year, Terry.
Thank you. So Nick, what about yourself? Anything that stuck out to you? Apart from the show you were on?
No, definitely. There's one more frustrating game moment I want to say. You said about the X-Men one. I don't know if any of you guys got caught in the trap when Metal Gear Solid came out and they said that Meryl's number's on the back of the case. And they literally meant on the back of the game case, and you're going around checking everything. But no, as for funny moments, I had secondhand rage for you. I can't remember if you were playing it on your own or if it was a game memory. Sorry, I was probably drunk, but you were playing Alex Kidd. Excuse me for lisping.
That was Adam's gaming memories.
Right, okay, and you were in the underwater section, and getting caught by those jellyfish. And I remember that as a kid, and I felt the secondhand rage. I was watching you on the TV, and I had the Sky remote in my hand, and I very nearly threw it at the screen like a controller, because I was like, "Oh, those things!" Because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching him play a game, if it's a game I know, I get quite engrossed in it, and just and it really sucks you in. So yeah, that episode, because I could. Thing is, Terry, you're always like cool as a cucumber, man, but I could sort of see the rage building up in you. You could sort of see it, like your head was like a pressure cooker waiting to explode.
Yeah, yeah, you do get a bit like that, I suppose, on them older games, especially because they're so clunky in places at the time. Controls. I mean, I didn't even want to get started on the game that Adam got me to try, that Robin of the Wood. Not even going there. I got lost on that a few times. I'm sitting, where the hell am I going? Yeah.
Oh man, what was that one you were playing the other night? And you had a bloke in like I don't know if it was an old Specky game, but it was like a bloke he almost looked like Inspector Gadget, and you were going back and forth between this fireplace and the door.
That was Inspector Gadget. That was like
That one, it was, okay, it was
Commodore
Inspector
64
Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. Yeah, one of the first
Man.
ones.
Did you?
But that
suss
was
out?
really that was really what it was. You have to go up to certain things to find stuff, but there's no clues there. You have to just literally walk up to everything that's not a wall in the game to find stuff, and then
I was
that will
getting
unlock
stressed.
the parts of yourself that you've lost, like your extendable arms and all that sort of stuff.
I was getting
But
proper stressed because
I
it was a
only managed
countdown
to
timer.
I only managed to find one thing each time I played the game before I died, I think. Because that was just, you were sitting there going around all these things, and then I actually found I found a gun in the second one. I was shooting everyone. That didn't do me any good. I still didn't find the rest. But, yeah.
I love that episode of Inspector Gadget where he shoots everyone.
Yeah, when he has the gun.
That was my special version. Where's my stuff? I will kill you.
Yeah.
He's like, that's it. I've had enough.
I like that Nate's Inspector Gadget impression is also his Skeletor impression.
There you go.
I do impressions. They're not great impressions, but they're impressions.
I disagree.
Go Gadget, sawn off shotgun.
Shabby, what about yourself? Is there anything that stuck out to you apart from the Ghost Recon Ball moment?
That was probably my best thing, because you lot were talking about it for ages. Shabby, come on. So I thought, yeah, I'll come on. And you had that Gaz on, and now he kept his cool with me, Gaz. I thought he was going to go mad. I honestly did. Because honestly, if I fell in a sack full of boobs, I'd come out sucking my thumb. I was rubbish. You know what I mean? I was so bad. I'm not really. It's like I say, I'm one for games where it's like FIFA or Uncharted. You know, things you can play on without going online and doing all this. But I thought, yeah, I'll come in. But I did feel sorry for you lot, because I didn't know where to go, what to do. And you lot were in this truck, and you're going, we'll wait for you, Shabby, in about 20 minutes after. I didn't realise I went the wrong way on a map.
Like I say, we had, obviously, bearing in mind, you had the two of the biggest sort of piss takers on the stream as well. You had like Sai and you had Chris. So you got both of them who got to rip the shit out of you no matter what you do. And then you come up and said, "What's that ball looking thing?" And we were all just pissing ourselves. And Chris was like, "That's a ball, Shabby. What you?"
That's a ball, Shabby. Oh, I got in that truck, and I remember it going up that hill, and I fell out that truck, and you all had to come back for me and all that. Yeah, I was useless, but it was.
Because obviously, if you ever play that game again, and Zazel's in, he might drop a helicopter on you.
Yeah. I have been known to drop a helicopter.
I did get into it at the end, but it was just so hard. But that Gaz is going, right, Shabby, this is what you need to do. And he was dead calm. And then there's like a marketplace or something you had to buy your stuff from. Yeah, you have to get. And I just couldn't work it out at all. And he's taking it easy on me, taking it cool. And I was useless.
Well, Gaz is definitely a cool person when it comes to stuff like that. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone know if Gaz is planning to drop in?
I think he's on a family thing today. Gaz is. I did say he said he wouldn't be able to make it, unfortunately. But yeah. But that was Gaz is definitely cool when it comes to things like that. He's really knowledgeable about his games, what he plays.
When I played that game with Hans and Gaz, I kept skipping the cinematic scenes, and they weren't. So by the time they were done their cinematic scenes, we're all shot like on a dock, and he's like,
Yeah.
What we got? Jeff said, "Oh, I believe it was an evil person wanted to ruin kids' fun. He put that reset feature into the game. There you go."
It definitely sucked the fun out of that game. I think it was more of a relief that I could continue the game than it was any sort of celebration. Really, really sucks the fun out of it. And there's no hint or clue.
Do you remember the other Metal Gear Solid thing, though, Nick?
I think you're on mute, man.
You're on mute, Nick. There you go.
Sorry, I switched over monitors and I was on mute and I didn't know where to look and I got all confused. Sorry. What was the other Metal Gear Solid thing?
The other Metal Gear Solid thing with the memory card swap. You had to put it in the other slot.
Oh yeah, but that's frustrating because you get battered umpteen times by Psycho Mantis. I didn't play this game 500 times as a kid or anything, and but after getting like twatted by him maybe 4 or 5 times, if you don't swap the memory card over, if you go up to the statues in the room that have got the gas mask on and shoot them, that that makes him not have his. He can't read your mind then, so then you can beat him. So, but you had to get the memory card thing. You had to keep phoning up Campbell like a million times. You'd phone up Mei Ling and like, what can I do for you, Snake? Well, I'm in the middle of a battle getting the shit kicked out of me. Maybe you could tell me how to beat this boss. And
that'd be a good game, wouldn't it? Can you just phone a friend? Hang on, help me out, will you?
Yeah. How the mechanics of that work? You're in the middle of a battle getting hammered, and you're just like, you know. But and you have Meryl
don't hit me a minute. Hang on, cool. Hang on.
Yeah, do you remember that level? Because Meryl had gone mad and was trying to shoot herself in it, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then eventually you figure it out, and you're like, well, that was easy. It's easy when you know how, but I just I don't really play modern games. Do modern games put in these sorts of tricks and horrible things to catch you out? Because
100%. I mean, the one I'm playing now on Mondays, the that Rise of the Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
You have literally got to be pinpoint accurate in your defense. If not, they'll knock you for like 6, and then you ain't get. Once you're trying to pick yourself back up, your character's staggered. You can't heal, you can't defend, you can't do anything. So you're basically vulnerable to then basically die. So that's really frustrating. That is at times, but that's a brilliant game. Don't get me wrong, but it's just obviously really pinpoint accurate with everything. So
that game is also just spectacularly beautiful, though.
Oh yeah. Well, except when I play it, but apart from that, yeah.
It's like no, what game has any right to be that gorgeous?
Well, the funny thing was, the game started. There's 2 of you. There's got a pair of you playing together, sort of thing. 2 characters you switch between in fights and stuff. But then after the first major boss fight, I managed to beat him in the end. And think, I've finally got him. And then some other sort of like ninja enemy come out of nowhere and sort of blocked me doing the final kill. And then I had to sacrifice my partner so I could get away. And I think, hang on, I've just done a whole 2-player bit and you killed him off.
Oh,
I was like,
unbelievable.
Have I got to start again? You know.
I'm sorry, Terry. You just reminded me there was a 2-player game that came out a few years ago. I can't remember if it was a platform-specific game, but it was definitely specific where you had to have 2 players. Now, you didn't have to have 2 versions of the game, but you played as you needed 2 different consoles, but you only needed 1 version of the game. You could invite someone to play with you, but you had to have a second player or you couldn't play the game. And it was Prison Break, and that's all I can remember about it is that you were 2 guys that broke out of prison. And it had to be.
Was it based on the TV series?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was a. No, it was no. It wasn't. No, it was weird. It was a weird game. You break out of prison, and you have to be. It has to be 2 players, and you have to, and it's not on the one console. Like it had to be.
Sounds like a Nintendo Switch kind of thing. You hook them up and network.
No. So you could, if it was like Xbox, you could play on Xbox Live together, right? But one of you had to have a physical copy of the game, and the other one just came on with a link, I guess.
Is it a modern game?
Yeah, but I mean, I would say I played it about maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
You got a game called A Way Out.
That might have been it.
Yeah, that's where you got to break. Each player controls one of the main characters, Leo and Vincent, and you got to break out of prison and gain their freedom.
Yep, that's not
a game I've played. I got to be honest, I haven't played that.
So
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how you might be able to manage that, but what I love about games these days is the narrative behind it, right? Long form narrative games where you get to know the characters and live in their world, like Red Dead Redemption. Oh, love that game. Red Dead 2.
Yep.
Oh, too good.
Well, like I say, that the game I'm on now, that Ronin game, I lost my partner because obviously he went and attacked him so I could get away. I don't know if he's actually dead or if he's still alive and you got to get him back maybe later on. I don't know. But then I went back to where you start, which is where your instructor is, and then she basically turns around and says, well, she's getting attacked by a load of enemies, so you have to take all them out. And then when you've done that, she then says, I can't let you leave and you have to kill her.
Huh.
She's great, this is.
This is rude.
I love how
Yeah,
quickly we went to that assumption. I mean, you got to kill her. She won't leave. You got to kill her. Nothing else. No other options.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, yeah, I'm not going to let you leave." So you think, "Oh, God,
Kill or be killed.
that's it." So yeah, she certainly did that a few times. Took me a few goes to get through it, but
Remember
Yeah,
that
Killing
game?
it seemed-
I think it was called Bushido Blade. It was for the first PlayStation.
yeah,
And you pick different guys, different swords and stuff. But when you played the actual game, you had to fight with honor. So if someone turned around, you couldn't hit them in the back. Like you didn't pass the level and you beat them honorably. It was very frustrating to me. I'm like, I don't fight with honor.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if real life was more like that that Ronin game, and you could only graduate high school if you managed to like defeat all your teachers in battle?
That'd be amazing.
Sounds like a Simpsons Halloween special.
I can think of a couple of teachers I'd like to have taken out, but
I was going to say, I'd probably think of a few teachers I'd probably like to. Yeah.
Teachers college is just like UFC training,
This week on The Ultimate Fighter.
right? Higher education is the name of the show.
Oh yeah, Jumpy brings this one up. That was brutal. Mask game was brutal on the Commodore 64. That was a
Did you-
nightmare.
Have you played Silkworm on the Commodore 64 yet? I remember.
I've
'cause I
got it.
had
I've got it on there
as a
to
kid.
play. I just didn't. I think the version I had didn't copy properly, so I got to redo it, and then
It's
that'll.
really hard, and you think you're getting through it, and it's almost like the levels just keep repeating. It's like it never ends. It's just one of those games that just keeps going. But I can, because we had the Commodore 64 when I was a kid, but we weren't posh. We didn't have the cartridges, so we had to still load the tapes up and everything. And yeah, that was one of those games that would just occasionally, you know, when you'd load up with a tape, anyone remembers it, then it would just crash at the last minute, and you had to start all over again.
That's what you wanted, the
Yeah.
floppy disk. There you go.
Yeah. My old NES used to freeze when I was on the last level of some of the games. It used to drive me absolutely insane. 'cause
Oh
there's
God,
there's
yeah, the
no
amount of
safety.
times that do that, you get to. I mean, like I say, sometimes if you had certain of the bigger games, obviously on them old computers, because they only had a limited amount of memory, you used to have to then turn the tape over or disc over and then load the next level, and then it wouldn't load, and you'd lose what you'd done. You think that you wanted to throw it out the window.
Oh God, I can remember as a kid I was playing Sonic 2, and I hadn't finished it by that point, and I got to sort of Wing Fortress, and the power went out, and I remember shouting for F's sake or something, right? And my mum went mental. Oh my God, did she give me a wallop for that? But you know, you would do. You're sort of getting there, and you're like, yes, I'm getting through this. You've got through like that weird Metropolis like level or whatever.
Well, because
it
you're
is,
so into it, right? Like your brain is in the minutia of the game.
Yeah.
All your parent hears is the F word because all they think you're doing is you're just playing video games. Video games is video games. There's no level A, level B. There's no complex bosses or anything. They don't get it, right? I kind of do that right now when my kid's playing Fortnite, right? He gets a little bit intense, and I'm just like, okay, 5 minutes left, and he's just gotten to the level he wants to get to, and he knows it's going to take 15 minutes to beat. And I'm like, no, it's bedtime. He's just like, no, it's not. Just go back and forth, right?
Yeah, and you are.
I have the same issue with Jace trying to get him off his tablet.
right.
I've got to finish this. No, you
No
haven't.
tablet.
No, that's it. No, I've got to finish this. No. Come
Have
on.
you had the discussion with Jace yet, like I have with Jackson, my boy? So Jax plays a lot of games on his tablet. He's basically allowed to narrow down his tablet. You can do that in an hour block, or you can do it how you want. You got an hour, right? And trying to explain, because he can't just download games. So what he has to do is he has to send me a request, and I authorize it, check the game out. But I was trying to say to him, just play one game. He's like, oh, but I was like, do you not understand? You don't get it. When I was a kid, you had your games. That was the games you had. If you were lucky, you had a friend who lived across the road and you could occasionally do a trade with them. If you were very lucky, mum and dad let you rent a game from Ritz or Blockbuster Video, you know, and you got a game for your birthday, maybe for Christmas. I'm like, dude. And he can't wrap his little head around the fact that there wasn't this unlimited library of games you could play. It was like you had what you had, and that's why we completed our games, because that's what you're playing. That's
Well, you
what
had
you
to
got.
make them last. You had to make them last, didn't you? You know, you think. I mean, on the 8-bit computers, you used to get games that were like you'd be able to go to the mini market sort of thing. You'd be able to get a game for about £2 or something like that, and you'd play it to death till you finished it because you wanted to get the value out of it, because you know you didn't know how long it'd be till you could buy another one. You know, because obviously you have to use your own pocket money and stuff. But there's just so much available to them now on a tablet for free that they just don't see that side of it, do they? So obviously you think my boy played Roblox to death. I mean, obviously I've got the online transactions where you keep buying them, obviously in-game money and stuff, which you keep asking for. But you can play the game for free if you really want to, and just play it and leave it and just build it up.
Streaming on
Going,
demand. Exactly
going back to the loading, it was when you loaded on a tape, it was always the noise. It was always the noise, that screech. I think there's nothing like it. You know, it's like a TIE fighter. You know, there's no sound like that. And it was the same when you loaded games on the Spectrum. It was a Spectrum for us. But you could always work out when you played a game that many times and loaded that many times. You could always work out by the sound how long you've got left. Do you know what I mean? Because
did you figure out the trick though with your Spectrum, Shabby? What you had to do with certain games?
No, what do you have to do?
Well, you had the tape deck, and you put the game in, and sometimes you'd put the game in and that wouldn't load. That just flick off and just wouldn't do anything and say error.
Right.
The reason for that was you had a little tracking thing inside the data cord. You had to adjust the speed. So sometimes, see, my brother found that off a friend of his, and I was thinking, no, I don't believe that. And then, like I say, as soon as we had to put a tape in, that was thinking, you adjust it, and then you'd actually see the bars change, and you'd actually sort of effectively tune it into the speed of what the loader was, and you'd actually do it, and then that'd load. But I didn't actually know that. A friend of his told me, and I was sitting there thinking, well, I don't believe that. And I tried it, and
man, I wasn't that bright as a kid. I can remember a memory of being a kid in computer games. Shabby and TJC all know this. You may have had them Canada, States ways, but we had a shop in the UK, still got, called Macro. It was like a cash and carry, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they had the Atari 7800, which was an old console at the time. They must have brought a load in bulk clearance. And this was around the time I had my Mega Drive, but Mum and Dad got me one for my birthday with a few games just as a cheap present, enjoy it. They took me to Macro and they had the game cartridges for 50p a throw, right? And I think I had like 20 quid birthday money, spending money. And I was like a kid in a candy. It didn't matter that these rolled 8-bit games. I just bought everything I could buy. I couldn't believe I was walking out of a shop with all these cartridges. I got like Choplifter and Donkey Kong Jr. and all these games, and it was like, oh, this is amazing, because I didn't care about the graphics. It was just having all those games, There
you go, jumpy nose. Look, adjusting pitch on your turntables. That's what the Spectrum tape was. You're adjusting it to suit the loader. It was, my brother's friend told me about it. I didn't believe until I tried it, but that actually did work. The problem was, once you'd done that for one of the faster, bigger games, when you try and put a normal one in, you have to adjust it back.
Let me ask you all a question, because I learned this off Artez off ZSR when he was doing his Spectrum games and so forth. And he kept going and going, and he said, "Oh, I'm now into the games that people have made." And I was baffled by this. I said, "Well, what do you mean people have made?" I didn't realize that people could make their own games.
Oh, yeah.
So my question is, did you lot ever make? Because I didn't know till I was an adult that you could do that. Did you lot ever do that?
Yeah,
make your own games?
I used to. I got for the Spectrum, because we had a Spectrum as well. I used to buy a book with all the programs in. You'd sit there for about 2 hours typing it all in. That might make about 3 sounds or something. That was just like what it seemed like. You do all that typing, and then it would do next to nothing. But they got bigger and bigger, and you could make little games with it. Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah,
but there's still a big follow. There's still a big following on them now. They make games for them now, like the old computers, Spectrums, Commodores, you name it. They still make games for them.
I think they call them
not be bothered
homebrews
doing
now,
that.
don't they?
It'd take hours, wouldn't it? Just
But people do it. There's just got a lot of homebrew. I mean, they even make games for some of the consoles. You got like the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. They had a lot of homebrew on that, where you'd make your own games for, and people are making games for that still now. And that's just a lot of people still do. Yeah,
it's crazy.
There's a lot of homebrew games about.
I'm really sorry to jump at TJC. Happy YouTube birthday, and thank you for having me on. I've got to cut away because I got to get stuff ready for later on. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
I've also got to spend some time with my wife. Apparently, that's essential. So I'm going to do that.
Well, funnily enough, she does actually like you, Nick. I think
I know. The thing is, I'm only saying it to wind her up because she's only sat the other side of that door. And when I get out there, she can go, "What did you say?"
Well, see, if she hasn't locked you in, that is, I mean,
Yeah, well, lock me in the toilet cubicle. I know. Anyway. I must dash, but pleasure to see and chat to you all, and have a great rest of your stream, and I'll see you again soon, okay?
See you,
All the
Nick.
best.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
See you, bud.
Right. Now, can Adam will remember this, but Skyfall's comment.
Commodore 64.
Fast-paced 2-bit hard date. Yeah, sometimes the soundtrack of a game, it like can enhance it, and sometimes it can just make it the worst game ever.
Well, I played the game, and you probably know the game. It's called a game called Mikey.
Mhm.
So you're in a school, and you obviously got to like collect these hearts to unlock the door to get out to the next classroom, and then you got to do the same in the next room. Teachers and all sorts chasing you and throwing their false teeth at you and all stuff. And then the first level, this music, the soundtrack to it is "Hard Day's Night" by the Beatles. So that's obviously quite a catchy tune. So obviously, and when I first put it on, everyone was like, "What the hell is this? I've never even seen this game before." But the tune, I know the tune. They were like trying to figure out what the tune was for a little while. But I loved that game. I actually finished. I think when I was a kid, I finished it. But can I do it now? Can I hell?
When I was a teenager, it was a Jet Set Radio Future. Fun game. You're skating around a city, spraying graffiti on walls. It's fun. But there were like 2 songs on the soundtrack that would just drive me up the wall. So it was enough to make me just like stop playing the game. And then like I borrowed it off a friend like a couple of years later, and I started playing it again. And those songs came out. Oh, I hate it. Then I found it. You can go into the settings and just turn off music. So just playing in silence, essentially, like just the sound of your rollerblades and.
There was a game for the Sega Genesis that was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and so it came out like 94, like peak of Next Generation, and so I was like, I can't wait to get this. I remember it was the first game I saw in like a video game magazine that was like, I need to go get this like when it comes out, and so I got that, and it's not a fast-paced game by any shape and imagination. It's very much true to the show. We're just like lots of debating and talking, and but the soundtrack is just like this like real jazzy da, 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 in the background the entire time, and you're like, I can't handle this. Like it's, the music is driving me crazy.
It's like the Ghostbusters theme. I love Ghostbusters. I love the Ghostbusters theme, but when you're hearing it with that old what was it 64 Commodore 64 Ghostbusters? Yeah, that one. No thanks. That one I can do without.
There you go, Shabby. Look, see, Jumpy said the same. He's got the old ColecoVision console, and he said they're still making games now for it.
Yeah,
and you get a few games on one cartridge.
I remember Sai had the Shinobi arcade machine in his house, the old Shinobi one, and that music. That's the only thing that stuck with me as kids, really, because it was always on. You know what I mean? So I remember the Shinobi music.
Yeah, and you're right. What you were saying earlier, TJC, is that you wanted to get your money's worth out of a game. Remember in the height of like the Sega Genesis, when it was at its peak, or the Super Nintendo, games were like $65, $70 at the time.
They were not cheap.
And that's like in 1993 money. So it'd be like, it's crazy money that we were spending on like a cartridge that mostly we've never played before. We're just taking on, box art that this is going to be a good game. Yeah. And I remember going, and one of the first games I bought with my own money was Cliffhanger, like the game Cliffhanger.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And so when you're making a purchase of a video game, you're like, I want this to matter. Like I want it. So I'd always look for like a 2-player game. And so on the back of Cliffhanger, it said it was 2 players. And then we took it home, and I was excited about it. And as you're playing it, but I'm like, how do I get the 2-player mode? Like I'm going through all the options, looking and just like going crazy, looking for 2. So there's like a number you can call, like a 900 number on the back of the instructions. And my dad's like, never call those numbers, son.
Never call that, because you will be kicked out of the house for the bill.
Right.
Was that?
And I was like, Dad, I need to figure out how to get 2-player. Like it'll just be a 3-minute conversation. Please, can we quickly call? And he was like, no. And so I was like, finally, I was like, listen, I paid this much money for it. I want to. He was like, I'll call, son. They'll talk to me, and then I'll tell you what's going on. The question you need to know, and like it says, there's 2 players in the back. How do I get to the 2-player mode? So my dad calls Sega on this 900 number, and he's trying to have like the fastest conversation. He's like, yeah, we have the Cliffhanger game here. How do we get to 2 players? Okay, thanks. And hangs the phone up. And I was like, what did they say? And he's like, there was an error at the printing machine, like at the factory. They printed it wrong.
Dang it.
Oh dear. Yeah, that'd have gone back to the shop for me. That'd be like, well, that's gone. That's gone. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the advantage, I suppose, for me, where you could hire the games from like Blockbuster, where you could get to try a few of them out. If they weren't ever any good, you know, you'd probably then go buy them because that'd be cheaper for you to buy them if it was a decent length sort of game. Otherwise, if you rented it about 20 times, that'd cost you more than it would to buy the cartridge.
Yeah.
So you'd rent it once if you liked it. If it was any good, then obviously you'd probably normally go buy it. But like you said, because you didn't have the money to really go buy loads, you'd be then saying, well, I want a game that's going to last me, and you'd have to get that, and then that'd be it. That'd be you for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Play it to death.
I put a lot of hours into Cliffhanger.
Well, looking for the two-player option.
Are you all on games? Because I grew up with three brothers, and when it was offline, when it was always FIFA in our house, or World Cup Soccer, or like Madden's, NHL, but we'd all end up fighting because there was four of us, so we'd always end up, someone got to get a black eye. But are you dead competitive when it comes to playing online or playing with your friends, or you just do it for fun?
Well, I've got an older brother, so when the first computers we got was a Commodore 16, and we used to play that sort of together, and they were obviously quite fairly simplish sort of games, I suppose you could say. And then we very rarely used to play together. But then the Spectrum, we got the Spectrum Plus 2, and we used to play that a little bit together. But we were quite competitive. We used to fight occasionally, just as brothers do, But I'm not super competitive on it. I just obviously just try and figure it out, and then obviously try to win my way back. But if I lose, I lose. That's just one of them things. But
I don't know which one of my brothers came up with it, but they were always saying, like if we got Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or something, right? They go, let us just figure out the moves first before we start fighting each other. So you have to back up into your corners, try and figure out the moves. But if anyone figured out the moves first, it was a free for all. It's like, no, you're supposed to wait. It's like, no, we're doing it. But then there were other games where, like Super Mario, right, where if you got further than you'd ever gotten before, then your brothers would rally behind you and like, yeah, we can do it, keep going, try again, go. That's the difference between a fighting game and a side-scrolling game. Is that they're either on your side or they're very against you, and you might feel maybe a cartridge to the back of the head if you've upset one of them. It definitely ended in a few bumps and bruises.
Everyone always had, like, in your circle of friends, they had like a favorite character in each of the fighting games. So like
exactly.
Your cousin were always like Guile, and you always like Ryu or something like that, right? And I don't know what it was, but like it would be years later before I understood. Oh, how's it going? It would be years later before I understood why anybody like Dalsum. I'm like, he's slow, his moves are so telegraphed, it's so easy. And then one day I went against, I swear I was like 20 or 21. My buddy picks Dalsum, and I'm just like, oh, you're just gonna get slaughtered, right? And I don't know what it was with like Dalsum's timing, but like every single like long arm or long leg, I just get slaughtered. I'm like, what? Dalsum isn't actually a weak character. So just the fact you can still figure this out with fighting games like 10, 20 years later is just is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So that always got me, right? So,
absolutely, Ken. You're right. You guys had their characters are like, my favorite phenomenon was when guys liked either Ryu or Ken, and we're dead set that like, no, like Ken is better than Ryu. I'm like, they're the exact same character. They're like, no, they are drastically
Ryu just out of spite because I don't know what it was. I was just like, he's named Ken, I'm a Ken, I don't care, I'm picking Ryu. I don't know what it was.
You were like, Kens aren't blonde.
Well, Barbie doll would argue otherwise, but yes, I'd long accept that the Kens are not blonde. But yeah, apparently Dalsum's a really good character. So spent years saying this guy sucks, and then gets
actually on the later Street Fighters, I think they were slightly different. I think they had the same move set, but I think Ryu had the stronger fireball, which did more damage. And Ken had the stronger uppercut, I think, is what they did. They actually separated them out.
He had the fireball uppercut.
Fireball uppercut. So obviously he did that, was his main sort of like damage sort of thing.
Ken's hurricane kick was like a rising hurricane kick, I think it was, if I recall correctly. And then Ryu had like, I don't know, like he had like these super, like if you powered up you could like take out your, maybe I'm thinking Marvel versus Capcom 2, where you could take out like half of your opponent's strength on like the special Dragon Punch, the Shin Shoryuken or whatever it was called at the time.
I mean, the one for me, I'm surprised any of the arcade machines survived, but when they brought out Killer Instinct, did any of you play that?
Yeah.
And you used to get, that weren't just moves. You could do the simple moves like Street Fighter, but then they used to actually, if you did certain moves linked together, that would unlock a big combo.
Yes.
And then that'd go combo after combo. And then, like I say, I think I'd completed the one of these sort of characters, and I've done it, and actually managed to get the combo because there was some guy who was like a whiz with it who told me how to do it. And I was just in the arcade, done this combo, and he did about something like about 80 or 90 hit combo, and he was just still hitting him, and the bloke was dead.
Yeah.
I was like,
well,
is this finished?
Stop it. He's had enough.
Yeah, it's funny. Killer Instinct is a funny one to bring up because I would say in the 90s, if you took like, 50 kids, 25 of them would have a Super Nintendo, and 23 of them would have a Sega Genesis, and then 2 would have a TurboGrafx 16. For some reason, they bought one of those. But then there's like the Neo Geo and like the Jaguar, these like mythical systems that you heard about. You never really saw them. You're like, yeah, they're great. They're expensive. I don't know where to buy them. Never played one before, but you see them in magazines. So Killer Instinct was always a game that was on the Jaguar. And I'd look at screenshots of it and be like, oh, this game looks incredible, but I don't know how to play it. I don't know.
Maybe it was the second Killer Instinct that ended up on the Nintendo 64, because I swear I had that on the N64. Maybe it was.
That's on the N64. Well, they did the. I think they call it Killer Instinct Gold or something like that.
Yeah, that was the name. That's the one I got.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, I bought that.
And some of those
And
characters.
I even bought the arcade stick so I could actually try and do it, and I broke that. So
I could never jump from controller to arcade. So like if I could beat my friend with the Nintendo controller, and then we jump to the arcade, I was just sitting down. I just couldn't do the joystick method. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that was. I loved that game, but obviously when they put it on the home console, you couldn't do it on a controller. Yeah, I just couldn't do it on the controller with the D-pad. The moves were just too fast to try and link them that you had no. So I got an arcade stick to try and do it. So that made it easier. But I think I broke that
arcade stick, right? Like it wasn't like one that could use on any. I never got any of the arcade sticks for home.
No, it was just I was on specifically for the N64, but that was all right. That was a lot better on it. We're using that than I was the actual controller.
Yeah,
because otherwise the control. I've tried to do it without. I probably would have thrown the controller out the window. But
did you guys ever? I only ever had my friend got it. Like my one friend Scott Randa got it, and it was like for the Sega Genesis. It was like an octagon you put on the floor, and then you stand in the middle of it, and you'd like break the beams to control your guy.
No.
I've had that one.
I think it's called the Sega Genesis Activator. So it was marketed, like the pictures and stuff, and he was very excited about getting it, was that it looked like you would fight, and then the guys on the TV would do what you would do. However, it was more like if you broke this beam, it was an A. If you broke this beam, it was a B. Yeah. And this one was like crouch. He was just like moving around. He was like, you got to come over. I got the activator. And he paid like $200 for it or something like that. He was like, he's like, this is going to be the greatest thing in the world. It was the worst. It was the worst accessory I've ever seen in my life.
I bet one of them is worth a pretty penny now, though.
Let me do a quick eBay search here and let me see if I'm right what it's even called.
Yeah, I mean, I remember something in the arcade like that when you had certain like light beams in it where you had to control certain things, but I can't remember having one at home.
Yeah, no, that was called the Activator, and there's one on eBay. It's only $115.
Nice. Get it, buy it. I remember when I think it was Xbox. They brought out a interactive game about Marvel characters, right? And the camera mapped your moves so that you were fighting as those characters and do like kicks and punches, whatever. And as a kid, I always wanted to be able to have an interactive game. Like it felt like the future. As a young adult, when that one came out, I was like, no, this is too much exercise. I don't want this. I want to sit down. I want a controller. I do not want any.
Yeah, it was possible. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Was that X-Men Legends or was that the RPG game I'm thinking of?
What's that?
Was that X-Men Legends, that game, or was it?
No, it was a Marvel game. I think it was possibly Avengers. Like so, there was Hulk and Captain America, Thor.
Okay.
I think it was after the movie came out.
Maybe
So-
X-Men Legends it was the RPG game I'm thinking of. I'm
Yeah, I don't think I got that one.
Yeah.
I think the only RPGs or anything like that I ever got was Final Fantasy VII and Fantasy Star, I think, on one of the earlier Sega consoles, I think.
Oh, Fantasy Star was great.
I think I played one Fantasy Star 1 or 2, I think I got. I think I played that a fair bit, but and then obviously Final Fantasy VII, obviously, because everyone played that, I think, on PlayStation.
Not me.
Everyone
I've
did.
never played one Final Fantasy game. Not one.
Never?
Never. No.
Oh, thank God, I'm not the only one.
Nice guy.
I'm sitting here guilty. Like, don't tell
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't played a Final Fantasy game. It's like saying I've never seen Star Wars. But Shabby, you beat me to it. Thank you. I've never
It was
played a
one of
Final
those
Fantasy
things I've always heard about it, and we've, like I said, we've had console. I'm from the TJC contest where I'm from. Arcades were just as big as consoles because it's a very popular seaside resort I'm from. So for 2 miles straight, there's nothing but arcades. Arcades.
That's the same. That's the same near me. Yeah, it's a seaside resort. Yeah.
So we always had them both, and I've always heard about Final Fantasy, but I've never played. I couldn't tell you anything about them.
I ain't
One with
played
the
any of
gun
this,
range
lot of the
is pretty
sequels. I ain't played a lot of the sequels. I just played Final Fantasy VII, which was the one on PS1, and then that was Final Fantasy VIII came out on the PlayStation 2, I believe. But I got it, but I don't think I really got into that one. I don't think the story really grabbed me like the 7 did, but I didn't get any more after that.
On the PS1, I remember I had a demo disc and it had Final Fantasy on it. So I like played that first level of Final Fantasy like
200 times.
Over a couple of years, but never actually bothered to play the full game.
The game was average. Yeah, the game average I think was well over 100 hours to actually complete it. That was 4 discs for the PlayStation to actually play all the game. But I think that was something like well over 100 hours to finish it. But again, like Adam mentioned earlier, if you get to a certain point and you ain't got the certain, say, like spell to defeat that certain boss, you then got to then run around the houses to try and find this spell or see if you can buy it from one of the places to get it. Otherwise, you can't get to the next bit, and that's got to be done in a certain order. But obviously, no one would know that planet for the first time, would they? And again, you didn't have the internet then.
Yeah, the playthroughs as you're older are an amazing thing because you talk about the spells you specifically needed. Mega Man 2 needing to get specific powers to beat certain bosses. I'd always be like, how come I can't beat this boss? Every single time Mega Man 2. Then you watch a playthrough, it's like, well, you have to kill that boss first. You have to get that guy's powers. You got to use it. Then you got to beat that boss. Then you got to take that guy's powers. And I was like, oh my God, this is pattern that I just never understood.
That's a typical Japanese thing, isn't it? Everything's got a little puzzle, isn't it? That's just like you got to do certain things, certain order to get where you want to go.
Yeah, but as an 8-year-old kid, you're just like, oh, cool, guy who shoots pellets.
Now, did you guys have the same stress that I had when it came time to like go to a next generation of console? So like I remember having my Genesis and then knowing that I wanted to get a PlayStation because the games were way better. But also Genesis games now were so cheap that I could just buy them all. But if I wanted to sell my Genesis so I could buy more PlayStation games, I had to kind of like do it sooner than later before it became like no value at all. It was very stressful whenever I went from like the 8-bit to the 16-bit to the 32. Like it was always like, when's the right time to jump?
You should have just did what I did, Adam, and just keep them all.
Just keep them all.
That's
still got
one
them
of my great regrets was trading in my original Xbox to get a 360. Like in hindsight, I wish I had just saved my money a bit longer.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think I've pretty much refilled my game library of all the games I traded in, because some of the stuff I traded in, like they literally didn't give me anything for. Like I had the DVD remote and thing, that the peripherals and stuff that they're like, oh well, we don't have any, we can't give you any monetary value for these things.
When they do trade-ins on stuff like that, they used to be in nothing.
That did used to stress me out a little bit as well. But like as you got to the modern consoles, when you switch from the Xbox to the 360 to the Xbox One, sometimes if there was a series you hadn't finished yet, like I hadn't finished Mass Effect 3 by the time the Xbox One came out. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna wait, and I never got the Xbox One. But my thought process at the time was I have to finish that last Mass Effect game, I have to finish that last Assassin's Creed game, and then I realized there was like 4 more I hadn't played, and I just gave up on Assassin's Creed eventually.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that, like, you're like, I can maybe just get it later, but that's more control you have as an adult. As a kid, you're kind of like, well, all my friends are getting it, right? They don't care about the previous generation's worth of games. They don't need the 16-bit Mario Kart. They got the 64-bit one coming out, right? Or the old Mario Party or anything. So I did feel that as a kid for sure.
I also in modern day. Sorry, go ahead, Nate.
I was just to say, for me, the best thing, like when I was younger, the best thing about a new console coming out was that you'd be able to pick up one of the older ones for second hand. So like that's how I got my PS1 because my brother's friend at high school got a PS2 and didn't want his PS1 anymore. So I bought it with a bunch of games. It had a mod chip in it, but it was just like $20. So I was cheering because then you get like this almost instant library of games. Plus, you could go to the rental store, rent a game, and burn a copy and play it. So, like, that was the best. I played that console for years. I still got it.
There's also the thing that, like, in modern times, as you were saying, Ken, it's a little different now. There's nothing that we can't acquire somehow, right? If I was like, I want to get a Sega Genesis Activator, I can go on eBay and buy one right now. Yeah. When we were kids, we were like, maybe I'll never see this cartridge again. Like, maybe it'll never be available. I remember renting Captain America and the Avengers for the Sega Genesis from our local rental place.
Captain America and the Avengers. Love that game.
It's in my top 5 video games of all time. And I would just rent it like weekend after weekend after weekend because I couldn't find it to buy anywhere. And then my sister got a job at that video store and then like bought that exact copy for me. She's like, "Can I just buy this? My brother wants it." So I got like that copy for my birthday.
That's cool. Like, the box, or did they give you like the plastic see-through sleeve?
They gave me both. They gave me the box and the sleeve. Like, here you go, take it all. I was like, this is fantastic.
Well, I've got to head off. I got work, so I've got to start getting ready. But Terry, I want to say happy anniversary, happy 1-year birthday, however you want to celebrate it. It was great to hang out. It's great to see your channel grow in this year, and I look forward to seeing what else you've got coming down the pipeline. And I'll catch the rest of this on the replay. Maybe I'll watch it from the office. Either way, I'll catch you guys later.
All right, mate. See
you, See ya.
If you guys are hearing crashing and smashing over here, like there's a kung fu fight going on in my house, we got this dog. We got this dog who's like a year old now, and he's like 80 pounds, and he's just throwing his rawhide bone around the house like it's a dodgeball. So that's what that is.
Yeah, there you go.
Going back to your thinking about the only thing stress-wise I can think of was the PlayStation 2. It was so hard finding a PlayStation 2 in this. I was in the States at the time, and this thing, it's funny because I know it just happened with the PlayStation 5 a year or so back when no one could get one of them and all. But for me, it was the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 was so hard to get hold of. I had to wait for months to get hold. And I remember I actually went to Toys R Us, and we were in Virginia at the time, and they had one left. I had it in my hand, and this woman come running in with her son because she'd heard that they'd had one, and she was in tears. So I had to end up. I felt so bad. I went, "You can have this one." You know what I mean? I thought, oh man, I actually had one, and then I had to. I mean, I thought you feel weird as an adult because she came in with it. He must have been about 10 or 11. And I thought, how can I take this knowing this? So I just went, yeah, you can have this. But it took me months to find a PlayStation.
I was quite lucky in that because I actually pre-ordered one because they give so many to the UK had like allocation for the country in these different stores. But you used to have a lot more electronic stores then when obviously at that point when they were out because obviously they had certain stores that have allocated so many for the country and then certain other stores that have some. I mean, Blockbuster had some, and various other places. So I actually went around all the electronic stores to see who still had some free, and I found one still had some. So I actually pre-ordered mine. And I got it with 2 DVDs because obviously a lot of people got it because of the DVD player. It was a cheap DVD player at the time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then obviously I got that, and I got 2 films with it. I got Gladiator and Men in Black on DVD with it. So that was they come with it and the game. I got Time Splitters on the game.
Time Splitters. That's what came with the PlayStation 2 in America.
So I got that and 2 DVDs in the pack that I got, and that was I pre-ordered it, so I was one of the lucky ones with the PS2.
Yeah, it was Time Splitters, and I remember getting the game Thief for it. They were the first 2 games that I got for the PlayStation 2. But yeah, that's why I always remember that console, because it was so hard to get hold of.
Yeah, I mean the PS3. I didn't jump straight on the PS3 when it came out. I waited on that. I weren't really too fussed because I had so many games for the PS2 that I was still playing. So I just kept with that. But obviously I had the Dreamcast as well, so I was playing that, and I really enjoyed the Dreamcast. So I weren't in a rush to get PS3. Got it in the end.
I never rush out to get the new consoles anymore. After the Red Ring of Death thing with the Xbox 360, I'm like, I'm gonna rush out and get it. Like, I'm gonna wait till they fix the bugs, and then I'll think about it.
The PS3 had the yellow light of death. That was a similar thing.
Yeah.
And they only fixed that on the last edition of the console.
The slim model, yes. That one.
I remember when my first Xbox had the Red Ring of Death. I had a bunch of guys over. We were having like a Royal Rumble match on like Raw or something. So we'd like, if you got thrown, you pass the controller to the next guy and just see who was the last in the ring. And all of a sudden shuts down, and like a screen comes up with a number to call. And I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" So I remember calling the number, and the guy going, "Yeah, it's broken."
Sorry, broken. Yeah.
You got to buy a new one.
I was like, "Is this your job?"
Microsoft did a recall thing on them, didn't they? Where you'd send it to Microsoft, they'd fix it, and then send it back.
Yeah,
I had that done on mine, so they actually fixed it and sent it back. And I think 6 months later, it went again.
Yeah, the same here. And then I did it myself wrapped it up in a towel and just let it like overheat for half an hour until it sort of melted its connections back together.
Look at that. Wrapped in the towel. Nate sat there cuddling it in his towel. Please work. Brilliant.
Yeah, that worked for about a year, and then it did it again.
Oh, it worked then.
Yeah. And I tried it again, and it didn't work. It didn't work the second time. But.
You can only overheat melt the Xbox a few times before it won't melt anymore.
Yeah,
that won't melt correctly.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That's true. That was a good game. That jumper. Yeah, Smuggler's Run on and Motorstorm were pretty good on PS3. Burnout. Yeah, I got a few of them. I think. Did anyone pre-order any of the consoles though? Any of them?
No,
I never. And it wasn't until the PS2, like Shabby was saying. I remember that being the first one there being like a demand that wasn't able. You could just go buy one. It was like the first one that was like, oh, there's a thing. And so by the time the PS3 came out, I was like married and had a kid, and I was like, I don't have time to just sit down and play hours and hours on a video game anymore. So by that time, I was beyond it. But I remember I was at Bible college, and they had a no TVs in dorm rule because sometimes Bible college is stupid, and so they just didn't want people wasting time or watching inappropriate things or whatever rules they had. But it was no TVs in dorm, so I went and bought a Commodore 64 monitor so I could put my PlayStation on there. And so then, like, because it's Bible college or whatever, some guys told on me. They're like, "Oh, Adam's got a TV in his room." So like the residence directors and the dean of the school came into my room, and they're like, "You can't have a TV." I'm like, "It's not a television. It's a computer monitor." And everybody had like computers in their rooms, and they're like, "Well, are you using it for a computer monitor?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not using it for a television. I'm just playing video games on it." And people play video games on their computer. So then they were like, "He's got us in a loophole." So then everybody in dorm went out that week to look, like trying to find they went to thrift stores and like old computer stores. All people was buying Commodore 64 monitors. So at the same time, there was a demand for PS2s. There was a demand in Cambridge, Ontario for Commodore 64 monitors.
Brilliant. But I think that's I think TJC's right. It was the DVD thing on it. That's what it was for me. It was like, and it was
a lot of the high end DVD players at the time. At the time when that came out, they were about £800-900 for a DVD player. So you could get what was a PlayStation, about £300, something like that, $299, something like that, was it? So for a third of the cost, you had a fairly decent high-end or mid-range to high-end DVD player software in there, which I think so that was a no-brainer. So a lot of people bought it specifically just to play DVDs on.
Yeah.
That's how I got it. That's why I got a PS3 actually, because I wanted a Blu-ray player, and the cheapest one at the time was around $300, and I got the PS3 on sale for like $180. So that was a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny when you watch the very first Fast and the Furious movie that they were stealing truckloads of DVD players.
Yeah.
That's like any gangster show though. Like first episode of Sopranos, they're stealing
I was just about to say
players
that.
and CD players and all that.
Yeah.
Now people forget because the Sopranos ends with that "Don't Stop Believing" scene, and it kind of revives the whole journey movement. But yeah, exactly, Shabby. That was the first episode of The Sopranos, and I'm watching that in 2013 when like this stuff is like almost obsolete. I'm like, this is the most awesome thing ever.
Yeah,
You couldn't give that stuff away now.
My room here, and Lucy will make my videos with me. And Lucy came over, and she's like, "What's this?" So I tried to explain to her. You put a cassette in, and you press play. It's because she had. It's funny as well because my daughter's 13, and she's like, no idea at all. Like a cassette, what's it? And then I have to explain what a cassette is. You know, it's.
Yeah,
I hate the look of disdain in kids' eyes when you show them old technology. That look on their face is just like, that's stupid. Why would you even bother?
Yeah. Our sales will say, there'll be something on, and I said, "Oh, have you watched this yet?" And they'll go, "No, I've taped it." But you haven't taped it. But he has that thing.
You tape it all.
You know but I know I've taped it.
But they don't know the pain though, Shabby, do they? Have obviously listened to the top 40 on a Sunday with your cassette with a playing record so you can actually tape your songs on it. And
remember you had your finger on pause knowing the adverts were coming, so you'd press it.
Yeah, you're trying to get all the adverts out. And then when you go to play it back later, because you've done it so many times, the tape will come out and you're sitting there with a pencil trying to wind the tape back in.
I used to, when I was in high school, I would, on a cassette tape, just record the audio of a movie. And then I would put it in my car and I'd like listen to Jaws as I was driving around.
I've got a story about that. Our site, well, in 1986, I'll never forget it because when the Mexico World Cup was on, our site nearly lost his foot and he was in hospital for 6 months. And he had to have skin grafts and everything else. And my dad had put Return of the Jedi, the movie, on audio for him. And so that's why Return of the Jedi means so much to our size, because at nights when he was only 11, so he was frightened, you know, we were in a different city. He had to go to a certain, even though he wasn't burned, he had to go to a burns unit because they were putting grafts on his foot and whatever. So he was a bit intimidating, scared. And our side would listen to that, like you did with yours. He'd listen to Return of the Jedi just on tape all night. So,
yeah. But when all the guys in high school would go on like a date and they crank up, AC/DC or Guns N' Roses, I'd like crank up The Godfather.
Look what he did to my boy.
That's
brilliant.
Right.
There you go, Shabby.
They are outside, yeah, exactly right.
There you go.
Yeah. It's funny things like that, but I think it made us who we are. It's like name something that was broken that we didn't blow on. Blowing would fix everything in the 80s, wouldn't it?
Careful with your comments is what we've got to say to that, you know.
I'm glad I didn't say that on CSR.
Like, one step away from wrapping it. Go, Nate, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I still have a computer at work that sometimes every now and then I still have to give it the old Fonzarelli. Just like, hey, and it'll start working.
There was a 25-year period where like just whacking something was like a viable way to try and fix it. You just smack
this is how I fix my TV. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Especially you tune the TV in, that's perfect one time. You turn it on the following day, and it's all over the place. You're hitting it, and you're thinking, you know, but
weird, isn't it? Weird, but it's just all the blowing technique. It was Tez was talking to me about. It was what was it? The Nintendo, the thing blow through the thing, and do you ever do it as well on your PlayStation when you got where you put your discs and you'd blow through the disc just in case? Like nothing wrong with it, but you did it as a just in case. You know, it was weird in a way.
I mean, a friend of mine had a PlayStation 1 that wouldn't when the laser comes up to read the disc, that part had broke, so it wouldn't actually lift the laser to read the disc. So I went round his one time. He said, "Oh, do you want to play?" Actually, I didn't think about it. I think that was Resident Evil 2. And he said, He said, "Oh, I just want to look at this guy. Look at this number 2." He said, "You got that yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to get it at the end of the week, whatever." He's like, "Yeah, you got to look at this." And then he said, and he put the disc in, turn it on, and then turn his PlayStation upside down. I was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, that's the only way actually the laser will pop out, so it actually reads the disc."
It's just little things on it, yeah.
So we have so my kids both have PS4s in the room, but we have a 360 in our living room. We like to play 2K16 together, whatever on. And we also use that as our DVD player. And to open it, you got to push the eject button and then smack it against the wall, and then the disc will open.
Old school. There you go.
NHL or
Little bit of
Yeah.
Tough love on it.
Right, boys, I'm going to have to go, but honestly, congratulations, Terry. A year on YouTube, fantastic, mate. Keep going strong. We'll all keep supporting each other, and we'll all keep watching you, mate. But all the best. I've had a great afternoon. Thanks a lot, fellas. I really appreciate it. All right, see you, boys.
See you soon, buddy.
Yeah.
So Jumpy is really hitting me here. He's like the Beastmaster. It's like my all-time favorite movie. I can't get enough of that Beastmaster. It's so good. So I should have
recorded next to the TV. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
It's funny though when you're saying about showing old technology to kids and like that. It's also the opposite. I don't know if you guys experienced with your parents. It was like maybe 5-6 years ago, we're trying to get my parents like a smart TV so they can like watch Netflix and stuff, and just like that generation's level of like, I don't trust this, son. Is this going to cost me a lot of money each week? And what's it like? Just really like hesitant about it. And I remember, so my sister and I went together, got my parents a big smart TV, and then got them Netflix and whatnot for Christmas. And then so my dad's like, "Oh, Netflix. Okay, so how do you find this?" I'm like, "Well, it gives you suggestions here. You can search." And he searches for Last of the Mohicans for the first movie he ever searches for. I'm like, "Dad, you have that movie currently still on VHS and on DVD." He's like, "Yeah, but now I can watch it here as well. It's a good movie."
Yeah, but we all do that, Adam. Come on, how many copies you got of everything that you like? Come on, let's be honest.
Like, Netflix's value is based on whether it has Last of the Mohicans or not.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. I mean, a chap I used to work with, he's retired now, but he still comes. He still rings me up and he'll say, "Can you? I've got my car insurance is now due." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "So can I pop round so you can help me sort it out?" I've done his taxes. I've done his phone. The other day he came around and said, "Oh, WhatsApp on my phone won't update. Can you sort it for me?" And my dad's as bad. He's just like, "I don't know how to do any of this."
It was 4 years ago. We finally got my dad a phone that would allow him to text. And he's like, "I'm not going to use this, son. I'm not going to use it." I asked him what kind of phone he was. It's the kind that has a camera this way and a camera that way. You know that one? Camera this way, camera that way. That's the phone I got. And I was like,
narrows it down a bit, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyways, they got him all set up. And so he sent me his first text ever. So I got this text from like a random number, and it's like, "Hello, son. This is your dad. This is my first text." And knowing what my dad was like, I sent back in all capitals. I said, "Dear valued customer, if you would like to subscribe to texting, please send a payment of $199.50 to your local provider to enable texting." And my mom's like, "I just looked across the room expecting my son to text my husband. And all of a sudden your dad was just red." And he's like, "I told you this was," and he went on this rant. And my mom said to him after about 3 minutes of ranting, "Who did you text again?" He's like, "My son." Oh, you got me. He just needed to vocally say that it was me he was texting before he understood the joke. But to this day, that's my favorite prank I've ever pulled.
My old man still won't use a mobile phone. We did eventually get him to he will use Netflix, and he'll like in the last couple of years has started to watch YouTube, and it was just weird hearing my dad say, "Oh, I was on YouTube the other, I was watching this," and just like he just like sits down and watches like.
That's funny you mentioned that, Nate, because my dad now he likes watching his old programs, which are obviously on TV quite a lot, and they obviously repeat a lot of the series that they used to have on when I was like a kid and whatever, and he still watches the same programs all the time. And then like I said to him, I said, "Why didn't you just watch on YouTube and just search for what you want to watch. You know, like say, I want to watch something about the war or something. I want to watch something about old places like where you've been on holiday or something like that. And then he's on YouTube all the time now. He doesn't watch telly anymore.
Yeah.
He watches YouTube every day. My mum says as soon as he get up, he's sitting there, he's had his breakfast, he's like at YouTube straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away now.
All my dad watches now is YouTube and like Korean soap operas on Netflix.
I'm so glad you said soap operas. I was quite worried where you were going there, but you said soap operas.
Yeah, my wife is into like Turkish police dramas. Like she's always watching subtitles, and like they have English shows like this, but she's like, no, these are better. These really get down.
Thanks, Jim.
It was funny. It was years trying to get my dad onto a smartphone, and he's like, I don't need it. I don't. And to be fair, he's like a 75-year-old farmer who's kind of set in his ways and living his best life, and he doesn't really need it. And then my mom one day was like, well, Gary, if we're hunting and I shoot at a deer and I can text you that's what happened, I can give you the details and you know where to go. And the next day he went and bought a phone.
That'll do it. There you go.
Yeah. It's all about finding your currency.
But like you say, that's the same with us, with our parents. We're trying to say like what we use. And then like you said, like Nate said, when they look at stuff that we used to have, kids now, they're looking at it like going out and say, what the hell is that thing? Why is it that big? And you said, I can do this with this tiny little thing now. I mean, I've got all my music on here or whatever, you know.
But things are changing slower. So I'm working on a video right now of a couple Mego figures that I'm doing some stuff with. And if you look at Mego, those figures came out in like 1977. And just pick a number. And if you go 10 years ahead to like the 87, those are drastically different toys than you would have. Like Mego was like an 8-inch, kind of like a G.I. Joe, cloth goods. It was kind of quirky. And then like in 87, you're getting like Brave Star and Centurions and Transformers and like Joes. And so you're getting like, it's a whole different world. Or if you look at like a Marvel Legends figure today versus one that released like 10 years ago, there's some improvements, but it's kind of the same thing. So I think that like the drastic changes are slowing down. That like, yeah, our kids' technology is different, but like we at least understand it, right? Like your iPod is smaller than the iPod I had, but at least we have a working knowledge of what it is. I think there's fewer new things coming out. It's just kind of revamped, right? Like I remember the iPhone won Invention of the Year the first year it came out. And then for the next 6 years, it was like, oh, the iPhone 6 is the invention of the year. I'm like, but it's not an invention. It's just a refinement of what already exists.
A lot of and I know it's a slightly different topic, but a lot of these
Hans.
They're doing Hans.
Ciao.
How you doing, boys?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no, just saying, like, a lot of the IP holders, like, back then, Marvel basically had to be like, can you make the toy for me? Because they were a smaller company, right? But, like, Ryan Ting, who's, like, the global brand manager for Marvel Legends, was in town, like, just last month, just before Joe Fest, right? And he was telling me when we went to Toy Traders, he was like, now, like, we just do what Marvel tells us to do here for Hasbro, right? Every decision we make, we have to kind of, you know, right. I imagine back then, because Mego was making World's Greatest Superheroes for DC, they were making Planet of the Apes and all that. I bet Marvel had to be like, we want you to make our figure. Whereas now it's like Hasbro's like, can we have the license? So
right, it's a whole different world.
And if Marvel doesn't have to up their game and technology, but people are still buying them, and like you said, there's not that much more room. There's like the ceiling's already here, right? You can kind of inch your way up, and you can kind of push the boundaries, but there's not much more. No. Yeah,
but better or different. Not better. That's a term, but like other stuff exists. It just costs more, right? Like I think we got to the point where it's like, yeah, you can have whatever you want if you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hans, how you doing, buddy?
Hans,
my wife just came home and took over babysitting duties. She needed a kind of day off with her friend.
By the way,
thank you. I've been wearing it for like 2 days, yesterday and today, because I'm no longer in school, so I could kind of just do what I want.
You fixed up my back really good a few weeks ago, by the way, in the hotel room there.
Dude, you're welcome.
You know, I've been trying like the improved posture. You've been telling me like standing up against the wall like that and using my phone or something instead. It's a lot harder to do than you might expect, you know, because you kind of want to jump up on your tippy toes because naturally I have like slouching posture. So you fixed up a lot of us.
I was gonna text you actually today and said make sure you're standing up straight.
I'm still slouching.
I'm trying not to be that guy though, but yeah. My wife
That's
was like,
very true, Jono. Yep.
My wife was like, she spent like 45 minutes to like an hour just rubbing dudes' backs, and I was like, yeah, this could be you, but you playing, you know.
I gotta go to America and rub some guys' backs.
There's no back like American back. They're broad. There's a lot of room to play. There's a lot of space.
I was just glad you're able to come back again. You know,
I'm working hard to try to come back next year, but like it's I know, right? It's not even like a month later, and I'm like, if I save X by X, you know. But I'll know by November, December, because I'm like,
it was such a blur, right? Like you get there Thursday or Friday or whatever, you blink and all of a sudden it's Sunday.
It's like, done. Yeah. I mean,
what do I like? Where the weekend?
48 hours. 48 hours of it is plane and airports. So it's, you know, but then, you know, there's a great 72 hours in the middle there. But I think if I do this again, I'm going to try to come earlier, but that incurs an additional cost of having to pay how much ever for the hotel room. Blah, blah, blah.
There you go, Hans. Hans, bit of advice for you.
Careful when you rub American backs in certain bars, around June 2. Hey, I don't.
The Marriott bar is okay. The Marriott bar is okay.
One of my top 5 memories this year at Joe Fest was my text conversation with Hans. So Hans and I were supposed to stay in the same hotel. He actually said, "Hey, I got my room at the Ramada," and I was like, "Okay, I'll get a room at the Ramada." Keeping in mind, Hans chose the Ramada first, and then I said, "Hey, buddy, we're eagerly awaiting you. What's your 20?" And he says, "Yo, I'm at the Ramada. This hotel is shit, my dude. I'm looking for somewhere else to stay." And I said, "Oh, we're there." And he says, "I didn't fly 24 hours for this kind of poverty." I said,
"Doesn't sound like Hans at all. What are you talking about?"
Well, I did. It is kind of bananas. He goes, "No, you drove, and you're not claustrophobic." There was a level of decoration in the hotel lobby that I can only explain as a 1991 yard sale.
Yep.
And like,
cheaper was it cheaper to stay at the Ramada than the Marriott?
So regular price of the Ramada was $107 a night. I got my room for, but then the elevator broke, so we had to use the stairs. So then they knocked it down to $74 a night.
Not bad.
See, so that's the price you got. I got $220 a night. So that's why I wasn't staying there. I'm not paying $220 to be expletive by Ramada. So I took that same and I went to down the road.
$220 a night?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, right?
Go to the Marriott. Like the suite will cost less than that.
I know.
It's a big suite.
That's why
they basically had separate rooms in the suite for
I thought hotels in America were cheap, but by the sounds of it, they really aren't.
But again, I paid $107 before the elevator broke, so I was at $74 a night. How did Hans pay $220?
Maybe it's I don't know.
They probably saw that. Oh, Trinidad, he's retarded, and they just he doesn't know how to read or speak.
Look at this guy walking with all those Trinidadian dollars.
You know what's crazy is that to stay at the Marriott was actually $50 more, so it was $200 and almost $75 to stay at the Marriott per night. But when I went to Hyatt, which was weird because I tried to book through Hyatt, it was a lot less. So I was like, I don't understand America. I don't understand capitalism. I'm just here to buy G.I. Joes and see dudes. Please just let me do those things, you know?
Right.
So that became
right. Is a question. Then there we go. Jim's got a question here. What's my favorite game I've played on the channel so far? But while I think about that,
Elden Ring.
Yeah, that was fun. Difficult, but yeah. We've got to revisit that, Hans. By the way, we've got to revisit that.
I just bought the DLC last night, so
yeah, I ain't gonna be buying that just anytime soon.
No, you don't need to. I'll play with you in the normal playground. We don't need to go to the rich people's playground. It's fine.
I need to address Largo here because he says, "What did you guys do, Adam?" He looks like he hasn't slept in a while. So we went hard at Joe Fest, and then I drove home 18 hours straight, and then my daughter's graduation was the next day, and then we went camping for a week with some friends, and now I'm back at work, and I'm planning a week of kids camp that's happening in 1 week's time. So I'm a little bit doing a lot of stuff. So that's why I maybe look like
I thought you were then going to say, I'm planning to actually have some sleep. I thought that's what you were going to say.
That's after next week, apparently.
After next week, yeah.
Right, Jim, to answer your question, favourite game I've played on the channel so far? It's quite difficult, I'd say. What about you, Nate? What's the favourite game that you've think that I've played for you on the channel so far?
I did enjoy like our episode where we're playing Fable. It's always
Fable,
always
yeah.
enjoy going
Which
back to.
Fable did you play? The first one?
Yeah,
Fable, yeah.
That's the best one.
yeah, it is. It was so good.
That's the one. That's the one when I got to slap that kid, bully kid, didn't I? And he just I whacked that. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
early in the game. Yeah, yeah.
We lost something as a society when we couldn't beat children anymore.
I thought we.
Well, I gotta get going here, so
That is a joke for anybody who's taking that seriously.
We're an hour and 30
Wow,
minutes.
the count dropped from 11 to 9. That's my fault. Sorry.
yeah.
What about you, Adam? Favorite game I played?
So I like playing or watching you play the gateway game that I suggested when you kept getting slain by fungus. But to
No,
me,
that wasn't that. It was the rat, wasn't it? Was the rat that was kept
the
playing
rat,
out?
yeah, the rat.
The rat, yeah. Bloody thing.
I would say there was one morning where I was at my church prepping and cooking for a men's breakfast, and I think Zazel was on. You guys were playing Double Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so that reminded me, watching and listening to you play that while I was getting things ready. It really, I don't know, just because it's early morning, I don't know, not sure, but it really gave me the sensation of waiting for your turn, watching your buddy play, waiting for him to die, so then you get to play. So you don't want him, you want him to get far, but you want him to die so you can have a turn. It was that was the memory that hit me. So I loved your Double Dragon episode.
Yeah, remember that. Hans?
My favorite episode was when we were playing Tomb Raider and you were blaming the audio problems on me, but it was you. For 45 minutes, I'm there trying to reset all my crap. I'd prepared pages of spiel, and it was like, what's your audio?
That was your fault, Hans. You were just hogging up all the bandwidth.
my favorite, honestly, my favorite times. Like, I mean, it was very early in the channel. We played Elden Ring together, and like listening. I enjoy. Be careful what I say now. I was like, a little bit of suffering is always good for friendship building, and I find like Elden Ring gave you the right level of suffering that we become good friends. You know, it's like, and you're like, he's cheating. The thing is cheating, and I'm like, it's not cheating.
What he's really thinking is, he's not cheating. You just suck at this game.
I didn't see it. It's a hard game. It is a hard.
But yeah,
game.
I think that was that. You talk about that, Hans. That Christmas. When we played that Elden Ring, that was because Jace was at his mum's. I was sitting on my own sort of thing, sitting there thinking, well, I'll just try this game. And then you said, but I think you sent me a message on Instagram. Just said, I'll join you. We'll play a game. And I think when we first started, you were just actually viewing me play it, weren't you? You were just like,
I was just watching it, yeah.
And you were just saying, if you go down here, you'll find this little thing hidden behind a tree, and then you'll find that. And I was saying, how do you remember all this? Hans just knew the whole game off by heart, and I was just like, he said, if you go around here, you'll pick this special weapon up, then you can use that to kill this person. And I was like, man,
I think Hans was just born with a certain amount of knowledge. He just knows things.
Yeah,
I think so.
Knowing certain things.
He just intuits his way through life.
I can't remember like my mom's birthday and stuff. I have to write that down. But I remember like how to play Elden Ring. And you know what else I remember how to play like really quite well? Probably pick it up and play it. It's like for some reason Aladdin for Super Nintendo. I remember that game.
Oh, what a game.
Back of my hand.
Yeah.
I was just playing it the other day with my kids, and so I have like a little device that I can't say it online. Anyway, so then we're playing and I'm watching them play and I'm like, you suck. Even for 6 and 9, you're terrible. But I'm then like, give me the control, and I'm like, da, 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 da. And they're like, wow, you're really good. And I'm like, yeah. Soon your Asianness will come out and you'll be good at video games too. But for now,
this Aladdin skill is what landed your mom, kids.
Exactly.
Came over.
The charm.
You know, that's an interesting story. You know how I picked that mom up? I picked them up. So my best friend hangs out with her brother, or used to, and they play like the king of all games, Magic the Gathering. So they're all playing Magic the Gathering here, and he left his phone here by accident, and he asked me to pick up his phone from by her. So I came by and I had to pick up the phone and I said, hey, you know, where's my buddy's phone? You guys met my friend. He's like 6'4", kind of Trinidadian fellow. It's like, hey, my buddy left the phone.
There at Joe Fest?
Yeah. And so
How
she gave.
how did you describe him to my son at breakfast, Hans?
I can't say it online. You know this.
What words you used to describe him? I'm trying to remember.
6'4" black rasta who I can't remember something about the way not lucid, languid. I use a word like that, but he kind of just cruises.
Yeah,
but and then eventually, like, she just kept showing up at my church. And so eventually, like, after every church, I was like, hey, how are you going? You know, and she just and that was it.
Well, why wouldn't she, Hans? Let's be honest. Why wouldn't she?
Exactly.
Did she ever learn how to talk?
I mean, we make fun. I mean, I think someone in the chat is Dale. Dale made fun of June, but the reality is the best compliment I ever received was from a homosexual guy in art school. A guy named Calvin. Calvin, if you're watching this, I remember you. I see you. Anyway, so he was like, so we're there and we're doing our art thing, and it's art university. There are people from all walks of life there, and he says, you know, you're really attractive. And I said, thank you. And he said, that means a lot more coming from a man to another man. And I thought about myself, I was like, yeah, I can pull from both sexes. That is like a mutant power these days. So.
There you go. Superpowered Hans. There you go.
True. But this is about you. So happy anniversary, sir.
Yeah. I need to learn how to play Mass Effect 1 with more charisma, higher, and trying to save certain important. Well, Rex got in the way, so I killed him.
All right, TJC, my dog is barking here, so I'm going to take him to the dog park so he doesn't tear the house apart.
Yeah.
But happy birthday, buddy. Congratulations on 1 year. You're killing it. Keep up the good work. And I can't wait to see your Robin Hood of Sherwood video.
No, yeah, I've got to build up to that. Go.
All right, guys. Be well.
Cheers, Adam.
Take care, Adam. Peace, man.
Yeah.
Ken, you play video games at all anymore? Or you don't have time for it?
Not these days. I mean, I jumped on the one time. Well, actually, that's not true because my son got into Halo for a bit. I started him on number 3, and then 4, and then Reach, and he got mad that the main character. I mean, spoiler, non-spoiler. It's a 13-year-old game now. Your main bad guy dies at the end of. Your main good guy dies at the end of Halo Reach. He gets kind of pissed off. He's like, well, why did it have to be him? Why couldn't they have put somebody else in the gun turret to get slaughtered after? And I'm just like, well, he's the hero of the game. Of course he's going to take one for the team. So it's one of those intense slow deaths at the end of the game where
you play through the death, basically.
Well, you have to play through the death because what happens is your guy, he has to provide covering fire for the shuttle to get away.
Yeah.
Right? And then he gets overrun in the turret, and you just keep going till you run out of ammo, and then you're just bashing enemies, and there's more and more coming. But the slow death at the end when you run out of health is his helmet falls off, and you're watching him die through his helmet cam, right? And my son always says, why did our character have to be the one to stay behind in the turret? Couldn't they have picked some random dude? And I'm just like, well, no, the Spartan has the armor to be able to withstand the punishment. If he has to jump out of the turret, he can fight back to the elite. You can't just throw any random civilian in there. He just wasn't getting it. It's like, why did Noble 6 have to die? I'm like, well, then it makes the original Halo series that much more meaningful. And
your son will understand one day that greater love hath no man than to give his life for his fellow man.
I've got to defend myself.
I'll be right back.
To be fair, that wasn't me who killed him. That was the woman killed him. But he was then going to shoot me, or at least it looked like he did, so she shot him. So effectively, not my fault.
Also, if I want to get Mr. Redmond real angry, I could say Grunt is better than Rex anyway.
Is he? I'll stick with that. We'll try that. I ain't killed him yet, so that's probably good.
I'm just joking. I prefer Rex as well. Grunt is anyway. But
yeah, I mean that was just
I just fan mad. There you go.
Because I played it, and that's the first time I've ever played through it. So I picked the wrong option where I just said, "Oh, she can cover me if he looks like he's just going to go too far," and then that happened how it did, and then Gaz was on the stream and he kept putting in the chat, "No, you killed Rex." So, well, me, I didn't do it.
You broke Gaz's heart.
Yeah, and then I actually put it on the next stream when I played it some more on the next stream the following week. I put it in there and I apologized for killing Rex or something like that in the comment thing on. Yeah, but yeah, it's all good.
I found. You see, that's another thing you could say. Like, I like more. So Jonathan Wren was putting his Morden, right? And it's like Morden is one of like my favorite characters as well. But like, if he's very, very well written, but there are a few things you can do to a Mass Effect fan to get them furious. One of them would be to say Morden was not a good character. Man, pissed. I would get pissed too. I get mad even in inferring that, insinuating that.
There we go, Hans.
Yeah, see, there you go, Morden. But Mass Effect is a timeless game. I liked 1, 2, 3. I found it was a perfect series. And
Yeah, so I've done one now. Finished one.
Oh, good. Two is arguably the best one. But then
eventually, when I will go back to do number 2, and then I'll.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go back and replay them. I played it years ago now. And I've got the remastered edition sitting there on the shelf.
That's what I got. Yeah,
never put it in the machine. haven't gone back to replay it yet, but I will eventually.
But like I say, I will have to go revisit like Elden Ring, because obviously finish the main game. Because what am I, about 2 bosses from the end, Hans? Something like that.
We have 2 bosses left.
2 bosses left. Although I've got apparently to do the DLC. I don't know how true that is. You'd know, Hans. Yeah, I've got to defeat. I got to defeat Moog apparently first.
Yep, you got to beat Moog and you got to beat Radahn. But we can do it.
I've done Radahn. You've
done Radahn. Well, then you just have to do Moog, and Moog's not that hard.
Yeah, so he killed me a good few times, Hans. If you remember last time.
We'll handle it.
I was mentioning about earlier, Hans, where we actually played the what was it? The fire giant we kept dying on. I was saying we had a bit of a gap of time before we played it, but then when we went straight through it, no problem with no wish.
Yep, we just walked in and kicked his face in, and that was it.
Yeah, so that's just sometimes how it falls, sometimes like that, you know.
Nate, yay! Tiny.
Jason's in there. He can see you. Yeah, he can see you sneaking in.
Hey, dude.
Hey, buddy.
Nate, when are you gonna join us for Elden Ring?
Yeah, Nate.
No idea. I've wanted to play it for ages, but it's just like I know that I'm just going to lose patience with it so fast.
That's when the game gets good. That's why you play it with friends, because you sound like you're so calm usually when in the chat. Like when you lose your temper, you're gonna say some stuff that's worth writing in the Bible almost, and I feel like that's useful because we need that kind of pure audible vitriol. It's like and you want that, you know. And when you actually do it, and it's the smack talk after you've beaten the boss, the things that people say to these digital characters that's the thing that needs to be recorded for posterity. You know?
I've just got to tell you, Hans, apparently Jace just told me that he can't wait to meet all of you. So I'm under orders now. I've got to try and sort something out to get there, ain't I, to meet all of you.
I was supposed to fly to England next year, but my sister changed my plans for me. She's bringing her whole horde down here because my brother's getting married in December.
Right.
So that frees up. Listen, I'm Captain Economics most of the time. I mean, as irresponsible as I appear, I'm actually quite head screwed on. Some would argue too tight. So much my neck hurts. But anyway, it'll happen. You're gonna listen. I've said this to everybody. I'm gonna offer Nate now and you. If you guys want a vacation, you come down here. You just have to pay for the ticket, and then you don't have to pay for anything else. I'll put you in the sun. We'll get this pasty white color to turn red. You'll eat and drink well. I mean, and you'll go back up a little bit happier and a little bit heavier. The 2 H's that count on vacation. You know? I'll rub your back for you. It'll be great.
Hans has just told me that if we want a holiday at any time, we can go stay with Hans.
I have a beach house. Come.
Yeah, he got excited now.
I have a beach house. You'll stay on the beach.
Tell Hans to go in Hans.
I can.
Apparently, he keeps calling you Hansi.
He can call me Hansi. It's fine.
It's fine. You're fine.
You can call me Hansi. Just don't call me Hansel. I don't like that. That bothers me.
That's a
You got
step
put
too
in
far.
teenage
We
and
can't be
Muslim
doing that.
language. Not interested.
Yeah. That's just made his day. That is just because when we went to, obviously we met Sarge and Kelly, didn't we? Obviously first, and then we went to the NEC for the toy fair, and we met a lot of other YouTubers like
That's Space
some
Command.
some of which are all in the chat. But obviously, then he was just so happy to meet everyone. What was on he's seen on there, and Scuba and Leslie and.
My mum said to give this to you
Oh, thank you. Okay.
for tomorrow.
All right, you get yourself ready. You go on then. Off you go.
Aww.
Bless
He
him.
tried to mess up your hair.
Yeah, he ain't messed up, is he? Is that all right?
Just straight bits on the left, right there.
No. I'll get the brush out in a minute. Yeah. So that was good. He obviously everyone interacted with him. He had fun. That's what it's all about. He was as happy as I was to meet everyone. So obviously some of them I'd already met. I obviously met Scuba the year previous when he came over to the Leicester Vintage Toy Store. And obviously I met him there, and we'd met Scuba and Leslie previous. And but obviously you had Chris Meewer came over from Holland, so obviously got to meet him. A few people from Scotland, like George Aitken and whatever, they all came down. So we got to meet a lot of people, and that just made his sort of like he loved every minute. So that was all.
I met I met a lot of those the British fellows. I can't even say that anymore. Oh, that's a fun story. I met a lot of the gentlemen from the United Kingdom, when I went to Joe Fest this year, so British and stuff like that. And then, but the funny one is I thought Brian Hickey was British, but he's not. He's Irish.
Yeah.
Like even I, as a history student, know that you don't call an Irish person British. But I was like, so how is it in England? And he's like, well, I'm no English, and he's kind of that strong Irish. So it's like, you're Irish.
You say the UK, right? So then you
just swapped it around to UK, right? But I remember historically the Irish feel a certain way about England in and unto itself. So after a quick correction, he signed my book and stuff, and the Irish are, to me, a little bit more fun. But I think it's because when they're born, there's alcohol in their blood. So they tend to be a little more thing. And I mean, we're both Roman Catholic people, so we have that. You know what I mean? That to be on your toes. Oh, yeah. That's another one of my favorite games. Hey, if you want a sexy game, we could play Near Automata.
Never. I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
You come for the thighs of the sexy character, but then you'll stay for the story. Listen. I like ladies. Very,
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Love the ladies. I tend to draw a lot of them and figures. When I was young, girls were key and stuff, but I make up for it now. So my favorite character from Delta 17 is, of course, the stern Russian woman. And then right after discovery, there she is. Look at that. Make me call you mommy. Anyway, but then the other favorite character is, of course, the fiery little Latina mechanic, right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
One is in the comics.
Kestro's okay, but I haven't seen enough of her personality as yet, right? She flew the helicopter and then she shot the guy, and that was it, But if maybe she's, I have the, the one who's like, sit down and obey yourself. That one, I like that. Give me some of that. And then you have the British lady, who's Kestrel. He's like, it's like, sit down, you naughty boy. No problem. And then you have the Chanchala wheeling Latina, right? It's just, this is where I grow. Y'all made all the right women for me, so I just need to see a little bit more.
Well, I can honestly say after you're getting your book that you did some art in, Monstrella, amazing art.
As I said, and the woman in that was a blood-sucking succubus, I mean, more of that, which is ironic because I married the gentlest East Indian woman, But, and within each of us, there's a, put the high heel on my throat, and even if I scream, don't stop. That's
so. Anyone watching, I can't recommend even just the artwork in that magazine enough. That is amazing. Hans obviously contributed a fair bit of the art into that, obviously. So that was amazing.
I'm in talks with
Obviously, I can't show Jace that yet because it's a bit too for him.
It's a bit raunchy, but yeah, it's
I
not.
just told him look what Hans done some of the art in, and I said, when you're old enough, you can read it.
It's true. my book, which is self-written and stuff, will be done hopefully by February next year and in print, so I could bring 100 copies to Joe Fest and just hand them out. My wife would not be happy though. She'd be like, "You have to sell them." I'd be like, "No, I have to hand out at least a few." But I mean, you know.
I'm sure that a lot of people would be happy to pay for.
Well, I hope so. That's the thing, right? I mean, I love being a teacher, but I'm getting old, and the kids stay the same age, so I get tired. And they're starting to win now. When I was younger, I could kind of beat them down, but now they're starting to win, but I can't let it on, you know.
Yeah. Here you go, Hans. You see that from Jim?
The picture of Hansi.
Oh, yeah,
Hansi. Yo, pop the collar, you know. I'm actually coloring something right now, which you can see on my screen.
There you go, Ken.
Yeah, I've answered Jim already. He knows.
And what did he say? Spiral, but listen, you don't give me ideas. I'm gonna draw all those characters. Next year when I come back, because Delta 17 will be back. You know, you'll have everybody. Not in underpants or whatever. I don't really want to draw Rooster in his underpants. You know, in proper respectful attire and such. You know?
I need to get that now that the digital comic is available. I need to have a look at that.
I think you should get that's actually one of those books that's worth owning, like a hardcover kind of copy. It's one of those like adrenaline filled like rides that's very much like the 90s action movie situation, and I like that. Yeah, that's a great way to introduce anybody. You know, I like that, and everybody had a little sprinkling of their personality in, with one exception. And there's like, it's a really great way to get introduced to any series, you know. I remember I have a lot of high hopes for the second series, and it's also great because it's like it's just started, which means that I can actually collect them all, as opposed to in the past. Like, I mean, Ken, you'll have no intentions of doing like 4 different covers and all that sort of thing, right? Thank Christ.
No,
all right, so it's not going to be the 90s.
I mean, those chase covers, because, you know, we're a toy company first and foremost, right? Doing an alternate cover is not out of the cards in the future, but like to do like the cover A, the cover B, the foil cover, the chase cover with Steve's signature, whatever it is, right? Like, we don't want to, we're trying to tell the story, right? So if the idea is to tell the story, then we're not a comic company to begin with.
Yeah.
I got to ask, Ken, is this going to run out? Is this something I could pick up later? Is it going to be a limited run, or am I going to have to, you know, have issues?
There's a fair number of printed copies, and with the number of people that just want to read it digitally, your chance of getting a printed copy just went up exponentially. Right now, the downside there is that the online version is not downloadable. You have to read it on the site, right?
Well, so yeah, but you're letting people read it for free, Ken. What would you let them, you know? So yeah, I can understand that to a certain degree.
But those who do want the printed copy, I don't think it'll run out that soon. We're getting the same question about our exclusive. It doesn't. I got messages today saying, "Can you score me one of the exclusives? They got to be sold out. I don't see them on the site." I'm like, "Well, no, the extras haven't gone on the site yet." You know, we left with quite a bit of it still.
Because obviously, cash flow for me is a bit of an issue right now. So I will probably, once I've got thingy, I'll get one.
Listen,
yeah, I with the timeline that we were talking the other day, Terry, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Right.
I bought 2. So if anything, you can have one of mine. You know, it's just it's actually a really good book, and it heralds back to fun storytelling, you know, and I like that because I find a lot of comics nowadays get kind of wrapped up on shoving their heads up their own bums, and that book was very fun. It was fun.
Right. Now, I must warn you, we've got another guest, and things are going to go a certain way. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel, but I warn you now. We have
Yeah. I had to come on TJ. Well, first of all, you know, like, congratulations for 1 year.
Thank you.
Very nice. But I can't have all this. What's all this Irish better than the English? And stuff up your bum. What's good up your bum? I like, you know, got digit now and again, but you've got to give me a reach around first.
Oh, that's it. See, there you go.
See, Mr. Hands, I like the Irish better than the English. What the hell? What the France? TJC, have a word with him.
He's all right. He's good as gold as Hans.
All right, Hans, I'll let you off. You've got to share a flag and a cider with me, though. And
I'm sure he would, as long as you don't try and share his waffles, because you won't get near them.
he got all right as a protective of the old waffles, are you, Han?
Yeah, everyone's waffles.
Do you tend to shoot first, Han?
No, we don't. We have strict gun laws down here. I am a weapon. I have no guns.
What's the current? Oh, he's got the guns. I hear you're a bit of a lover boy as well.
Hans is, yeah.
I myself am known as the monkey lizard lover wizard. Yeah, smart. I've evolved.
You've got a lot of followers, women, haven't you?
I have. I've evolved over millions of years, TJC, to be an incredible lover, as you know. Incredible lover. My pheromones, partly. Yeah. But congratulations, TJC. You've made it through 1 year.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I suppose the highlight was me and me. I suppose.
Of course.
On stream, I would imagine.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't introduce my boy to you because obviously it's a little bit, too. He's only young.
Bit young.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, yeah, well. Yeah. Who else we got then?
We've got Nate, obviously. I don't know if you've watched his channel. That's a great channel to watch if you haven't.
Hello, Nate.
And obviously Toy Connections, you must know Ken.
Nate, are you a skateboarder, Nate?
No.
Oh. He's got the look of a skateboarder, doesn't he? Does he look like a skateboarder? I would have said that. That's the first thing I would have said. He's a skateboarder.
Well, if you like watching people fall off skateboards, I suppose,
Mr. Ken, Mr. Ken.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
You got to do it relatively quickly because it's almost 2:00 my time. So.
Oh, he's out.
Giving a heads up.
Is it getting that time? Is it cool? That's gone quick, isn't it? Yeah. Hang on. Here we go. This is for you, Rum. Here we go. From Jono.
What we got? Oh, here he is. Everyone loves the Irish rum. St. Patrick's Day is a world event. What do you guys celebrate again? Just creating the modern world, Mr. Edmund. And,
That's got to get a political thing on there now.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
I saw that with Ghosty the other week.
I know. Oh, bless him. You know, we keep an eye on our American friends, do we?
Yeah. Well, we haven't got. Well, what we got? So we got Ken's Canada, obviously Nate's Australia.
Canada land. That's another one we own. Australia, yeah, we own that one. Where's Hans from?
Hans originally Canada.
Basically, yeah, but Trinidad and Tobago for like the majority of my life. So.
Oh, 3 in a row. Got a clean sweep.
Yeah, all corners.
I got to bounce, but thank you for the invite and congrats on 1 year and glad talking to everyone today.
All right,
see you
again.
See
you, mate.
I'll take care. Bye.
Well, to be honest, I suppose we better wrap this up because Nick's got his video on in a little while, so obviously I don't really want to encroach on his. But I appreciate everyone coming on. It's been a laugh, definitely, even at my expense. And Hans, we will have to play Elden Ring again. You play that, Rum? Elden Ring?
I haven't played it yet. I'm going to. I'm partial to some sorcery, as you know.
Yeah.
Is it multiplayer?
3. Get up to 3 people on the same console.
Free.
So you can. It's one of those games where it's better if you're all angry as a group.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm usually angry at how bad I am at it. But
misery loves company, and in all honesty, if you're gonna be angry, you might as well be angry around a bunch of your angry friends. I mean, I don't get angry at video games anymore. I'm too old.
What can you be? Barbarians, sorcerers, skateboarders? You
can be anything that you want to be. You can start as one thing and end as something else. Great. It was arguably the perfect game. Arguably.
Yeah, that is really good. It's definitely really good. I mean, I've got so far onto it now where I've got 2 bosses to beat and not main boss to beat, so I can then get the DLC later on. Because there's certain bosses you don't have to beat. They're not part of the main story, but they're sort of side bosses, so to speak. But I've got 2 main ones to get past, and then to get the DLC, I've got to get that side boss mode, ain't I? So I've got to fill him in. So, but yeah,
anticipating the agony already. It's just, I said, man, it's so.
I think to be honest, I'm looking forward to playing it again because that was good when we were just going through it, and that was just really good fun. So,
if nothing else, and you get Nate, you get frustrated, and Jabba lets you off the hook. You know, you guys, we can play 4-player. I mean, our guys at least Ghost Recon, because that's not a particularly frustrating game, and you know, why the hell?
You into any games like that, Rum?
Which ones?
Ghost Recon.
Not bad. No, Call of Duty. I like Alien Fire Team. That's a good one.
That's
good. Yeah, we played that. Did you watch the Predator one we did last week?
I didn't. I have played. Is that Hunting Grounds one? That one.
Yeah, we played that with Spy and Smith Lord, and
I have played that before.
And Brian came in as well. Brian's action figure reviews. He was on.
Mr. Brian from Limerick, my Irish friend.
Yeah, he was on. Yeah,
little Brian, good lad. He's a good lad.
But we have got possibly not this Sunday, not tomorrow, but obviously next Sunday, possibly. We're all going to play Red Dead 2.
3, 2.
2, yeah, Red Dead
2. Controversial.
Yeah, so obviously you can get 7 players on that, I think.
Oh. Posseing up, be posseing up.
So it'll be just a bit of fun, get everyone together, have a laugh.
Posse. Yeah. The posse. Is Nate the skateboarder from Australia, did you say?
Yeah.
Are you in the SRA?
SRA.
I don't know what the SRA is.
Oh, some of my Australian mates, Zombie Hunter, Michael Reed, Darth Muzzer, Ed 5, they're in the SRA.
Yeah, what is it again?
The Sexually Repressed Australian Club. The SRAs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I remember that.
It was E, not yeah.
What? E.
I was hearing SRE, right?
SRA.
A. Right.
A. You're not in that club, Nate.
I think once you cross a certain age, we're all a little sexually repressed. I think you're supposed to be. And life's not complete without, the no reason boner at least once a day.
Exactly. It's important. It's important. Self-touching is important. It's not to be frowned upon.
No, and I find the people who shame it, they're the individuals who will go and do cocaine in a hotel room surrounded by hookers and then go outside and preach that it's wrong, which I disagree with. You can't suppress it. You have to embrace it.
I agree. Self-touching and hookers and blow all good by my reckoning. All fine.
I'm gonna get arrested.
Context is definitely important. In the comfort of your own home is one thing. On the bus is a different thing altogether.
Yeah, and the bus is a little bit frowned upon. Yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
If you can get the whole bus to join in.
Yeah.
At that point, you have removed the criminality of it, and now everybody's going to jail.
That's right.
I'm sure if you got on a bus, Hans, that would happen.
Charisma, I think, for that to happen.
Everybody just has to be like.
I once got on a greyhound. I once got on a greyhound in Australia, and we all started touching each other.
Yeah, but that's because
it's just the effect you have on everyone.
I know. Those damn koala bears, though. Watch them. They got chlamydia. I've still got rashes. Riddled. To be honest.
But you got a story out of it, and that's what's important.
I know.
Well, on that note, thanks for everyone tuning in.
Sorry for ruining your stream, TJC.
No, I've got to say Nick's now starting his now, so I didn't want to encourage on that.
Oh God, I've all this I've got to pop into.
No, it's all good.
I want to say one to Han.
I've got to come on your channel at some point, haven't I?
We got to do it. Innit? We're waiting for you to come on. You got to come on Monkey Lizard Hangout, innit? You got to be probed.
God, yeah.
You look like you're up for it. I mean, let's
Any
face
of
it, TJC. You've been probed before, haven't you? Plenty of times. You just tell that, but look at you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Hand's been
appreciate that.
probed.
Yeah.
I think life's not complete unless you have been.
Exactly.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
Straight from the words of Hans.
You have to embrace it. At a certain age, it's gonna happen.
Exactly. Embrace
Right.
the probing.
Thanks everyone who came in. Obviously, Nick's channel has obviously now got his stream on now with him and Monkey Boy, and obviously special guest Luke Reynolds. So jump across straight to there to see that. And
Boring. Probably boring, to be honest.
I shall see you on the next stream. Thanks all.